There's so many kids in care, and we just don't have the foster homes.
A struggling foster care system. I'm Tiara Medley with why the amount of foster homes are declining.
Are you paying more on your electric bill? I'm Samantha Rojas with some reasons why.
Your news in 10 minutes starts now. I'm Tiara Medley.
And I'm Trent Croce. Have you noticed an increase in your electric bill lately? Well, you aren't the only one.
We've heard from one unhappy customer who's having to budget more than $200 each month. UT10's Samantha Rojas joins us now live in the newsroom. Samantha, what is causing an increase in electricity?
Tiara, experts say the problem is a twofold, supply and demand. There is an increase in consumer demand. Natural gas prices are being driven higher by a global supply chain shortage, which has been made worse by Russia's war in Ukraine. Kylan Demansky noticed a huge jump in his electric bill from the month before that he was not expecting.
I think it's ridiculous.
Demansky says trying to budget for bills has gotten difficult.
Having to add in an extra $250 a month is kind of tough.
Demansky hopes he is not alone on this issue. Here's what experts have to say about these price increases.
The supply, the demand of it. So we fall into a supply and demand system.
Energy specialist Joe Funk says demand is higher and supply is lower due to pipelines being shut down. Customers may have signed up for a variable rate, not knowing they can choose a more stable fixed rate or a different energy provider altogether.
But for the majority of people that haven't chosen an energy provider or have not chosen part of the choice program, they are on a variable rate which fluctuates due to that supply and demand.
Even with a different provider, Demansky fears that the prices are here to stay.
Well, I'm sure inflation has a large part to do with that. Honestly, I don't see it ending.
Funk says with the fixed rate energy plan, the price per kilowatt hour remains the same until the end of the contract. Contracts may range from 2 months to 5 years. With the variable plan, the prices change periodically as the market changes. There are well over 100 energy providers in Ohio to choose from. The state's Public Utilities Commission has more information for consumers on their website. Live in the newsroom, Samantha Rojas, UT10 News.
Thank you, Samantha. To find this link, go to our website, ut10news.com.
According to a representative of Lucas County Children's Services, there have been a significant lack of foster homes for about 5 years now.
Right now in Lucas County, there are about 800 kids in foster care and only around 215 homes. Many factors have contributed to this issue, but the pandemic has really played a large part.
A lot of our foster parents, because kids weren't going to school, they didn't have daycare, whatever, they were like, hey, this is hard. This is hard for us. So we have lost a lot of foster parents because of the pandemic.
They're not seeing many new foster parents, and that's a problem that has persisted since long before the pandemic.
So I've been at the agency almost 32 years, and I'm still working with some of the foster parents I worked with when I first came. Because of age, a lot of them said, you know what, I'm just going to go on ahead and retire at this point. The other thing is that we've been getting a lot of younger foster parents that come in, and if the kids don't return home, they end up adopting them, and then they end up closing.
Dunn believes the first step to solving this issue is getting the word out. While Lucas County Children's Services hasn't been able to hold in-person events, they have been able to hold online events.
We need to get the information out and let people know this is doable. For our agency, we got to get back out there.
Sheila Mobus is a foster parent who has several adopted children. She says the hardest part isn't what you would think.
The initial getting started, because you worry about things or things like that, that's the biggest hurdle, in my opinion. The giving up the kids if they're going home or, going somewhere else for whatever reason, then it's in their best interest. So it's really not as hard as what it sounds like it would be.
If homes aren't found for kids, agencies outside Lucas County must be utilized. Kids are sometimes placed counties over, and in some cases even out of state. According to Dunn, in order to solve this problem, funding needs to be looked at in terms of how much foster parents are paid. She says Lucas County Children's Services also needs more support from resources like schools and mental health organizations. Now it's time to turn things over to Trent with news making headlines across America.
Thanks, Tiara. It is now reaching 4 weeks since the Russian forces have invaded Ukraine and the attacks around its cities continue. President Biden called for an additional $800 million in defense assistance during a White House press briefing yesterday, February 16th. Also yesterday, several sources reported a video of Biden speaking to journalists, calling Putin a war criminal for the first time. Tomorrow, February 18th, President Biden will speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping to address issues of mutual concern, according to AP News. According to the U.S. News and World Report, a recent study on suicide in pre-adolescent children shows that rates have increased significantly. Since 2000, there have been over 4 times the amount of suicidal ingestion cases between the ages of 10 and 12 from the uses of drugs and chemicals. The study also went to show a 2 times greater increase in suicidal ingestion for adolescents. While the study noted suicidal thinking can be due to many factors, social media correlated with many of the cases. The study authors did urge caution to connect the two. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts on suicide, we encourage you to reach out to help with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, as we have a link on our website, ut10news.com, as well. A study done by researchers at Northwestern University have found that sleeping with even a small amount of light can be harmful to your health, and yes, that includes the TV. The study found that those who slept with the light on for just one night experienced impaired glucose and cardiovascular regulation, both of which are linked to heart disease and diabetes. According to the authors of the study, up to 40% of people sleep with the light on or keep the TV on. Atlanta and Houston are known to be the biggest hubs for Black Americans, but according to 2020 consensus figures, the largest population growth among the Black community didn't occur in either of those cities. Less congested cities with lower profiles like Columbus, Ohio, Jacksonville, Florida, and Charlotte, North Carolina saw the biggest influx of Black Americans, while bigger cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York saw a decrease by the tens of thousands. The weather may be getting nicer, but for people easily affected by allergies, it could only be getting meaner. AP News reported a University of Michigan study that due to climate change, allergy season will start weeks earlier and end days later as the years go on. The warmer weather allows plants to start their blooms earlier, and in some places, the plant's pollen levels could triple. This can be due to additional fossil fuels in the air too. Currently, about 30% of the world and 40% of American children suffer pollen allergies. Now we turn it over to Caleb with sports.
Caleb, the MAC tournament was last week, wasn't it?
That's right, Tiara. Both Toledo teams went in the tournament hoping to cut down the nets in Cleveland. I'll have if they accomplish that right after this break.
Let's say you're someone like Hannah, bright, resourceful, ready to go. You check out fill-in-the-blank State University, and you feel, well, a little lost. Then you reverse course. You visit that small college your uncle went to. But now you're stuck in neutral, wondering if maybe they don't have the majors, internships, research, facilities, and activities that you're sort of expecting. And then you check out Toledo. You meet an advisor, and he tells you about the experience and mentorship you'll find right here at the University of Toledo.
This is your UT10 Sports. I'm Caleb Gill. Both men's and women's Rockets basketball teams went into Cleveland last week as the #1 seed in the MAC tournament, with the women taking the floor first. The women's basketball team went into the tournament as the #1 seed, but that did not guarantee them success. The Ohio Bobcats proved to be a tough opponent early, with a pair of threes from Ohio's Erica Johnson helping put the Bobcats ahead of the Rockets. But a strong finish to the quarter put UT above Ohio on the scoreboard heading into the second. Most of the second quarter would feature both teams seemingly matching each other bucket for bucket. A jump shot from Jada Jensen helped to give Toledo a 34-32 lead into the break. Toledo would go on a 16-7 run in the third quarter, giving them a nice 9-point lead, before Ohio would begin to come back. A 3-point play from the all-time leading scorer in the MAC, Sierra Hooks, helped to cut Toledo's lead to just 4 points. This before Ohio would go scoreless for 4 minutes, and that, along with a big fourth quarter from Quenisha Lockett, who scored 10 points in the quarter, was enough for the Rockets to break away from the Bobcats and advance to the second round, winning by a final score of 80-67. Ohio may have been the 8th seed heading into the matchup, but Toledo coach Tricia Cullop knew it would be a battle till the end.
I was really proud of our players. I thought going into this game, they're probably the best 8th seed team in the country. So we knew that this battle in the first round would be one of the toughest that we'll face.
Round 2 for the Rockets would have them playing Ball State in what would be another tough matchup. Ball State came out the gate swinging, making 5 of their first 7 shots. The Rockets wouldn't get their first lead of the game until the second quarter when Quenisha Lockett made a layup, putting the Rockets up 21-20. However, Ball State would finish the quarter strong, going into halftime with a score of 39-25, favoring the Cardinals. The third quarter would continue to be mostly all Ball State, leading the Rockets by the end of the quarter 51-46. With a little over a minute left, Sophia Wire splashed in a 3, bringing Toledo closer with the score now 63-61 still in Ball State's favor. But a few free throws from the Cardinals helped to seal their victory with a score of 71-66, knocking the Rockets out of the tournament. It wasn't just a women's team who struggled in Cleveland, with the men's team for the Rockets having trouble as well. Central Michigan was a tough matchup for Toledo the first time they played, and it was no different in the first round of the tournament. There was hardly any separation between the two teams throughout the matchup, and almost any time one team would get hot, the other would then start to get going as well. A 3 from Seth Milner gave the Rockets a 20-17 lead about midway through the first half, before CMU answered with a 9-2 run. Rockets would put down a couple more shots, but they got cold towards the end of the half, missing 7 straight shots going into the break, helping the Chippewas go into halftime with a 2-point lead. Coming out of halftime, both teams would seemingly trade baskets to start the second half. Toledo was able to separate a little bit with a 64-57 lead with 5 minutes in the game, but Central Michigan would begin to come back, and a slam dunk from Harrison Henderson helped CMU regain the lead with 20 seconds left. Ray J. Dennis then drove to the basket, making it a 1-point game with 10.1 seconds remaining. The turnover on the inbound gave the ball back to Toledo, but that still wouldn't be it, with Ryan Rollins missing the first free throw on a 1-for-1. Henderson would then rebound it, and CMU had enough time to get to the other end of the court for one last shot. As time ran out, Dennis grabbed the rebound, sending the Rockets to the next round of the tournament after Toledo won 72-71.
Just a proud of our guys, proud of our win. Clearly a team that didn't panic.
The following night would prove to be another tough matchup for the Rockets against the Akron Zips. Akron started the match off making 5 of their first 9 shots, getting out to an early 12-7 lead. Toledo would then go on to score 9 straight points, bringing them closer to the Zips, with Akron now only up 17-14 with 12 minutes still left in the first half. A 13-4 run by the Zips, though, gave them a 30-18 lead over the Rockets with 5 minutes still left before halftime. Akron would continue to build on their lead, but Ryan Rollins hitting a pair of jumpers brought the Rockets within 10 at the half, with Akron now leading 38-28 at the intermission. The Rockets came out of halftime hot, scoring the first 6 points of the half, and a JT Shoemake triple was enough to bring UT within 1. Xavier Castaneda then hit back-to-back threes, continuing to extend the Zips' lead. Toledo would continue to try coming back, but down the stretch, Akron continued to drain shots, and Toledo failed to score in the final minute and a half, leading the Akron Zips to take down the top-seeded Rockets with a final score of 70-62.
And Caleb, I heard you went to both of the games this weekend as well.
I was there in Cleveland the entire week, and it was good atmosphere for college basketball from both men's and women's. Just unfortunately, Toledo couldn't get it done on both sides. That'll be it for sports, though.
Well, thank you, Caleb. And we have some exciting news. You now have more ways to watch UT10. Newscast replays are on WGTE Public Media on Friday nights at 6:30.
And thanks to our new broadcast partners at Buckeye Cable, you can catch us on BCAN Cable Channel 109 and 609 on Thursday evenings at 5 and 5:30 and Sundays at 9 a.m.
And of course, you can still listen to 88.3 FM WXUT Saturday mornings at 7:45 for the UT10 Weekly News Update.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.